Hey everyone, and welcome in. Today's deep dive is, well, it's a tough one. We're talking about the death of Anna Fabiola. You might have known her online as La Barbie Regia.
Yeah, a really tragic situation.
She was an influencer, and she was found in her Monterey apartment recently, and the details are, well, they're messy, to say the least.
Really shines a light on how the lines between our online lives and reality are, well, they're barely even lines anymore. It's all kind of blending together. And this case, it's right at that intersection as the investigation goes on.
We're trying to unpack it all with an article from Presto. It's a Mexican news source. And this is all really fresh, like October 4th, 2024 fresh. So every little bit of info is important.
Absolutely, and that's our focus here, right? Sticking to what we know, what we can glean from this early report. Speculation, that won't help anyone. We're looking at the facts, the why it matters, what it might mean in the bigger picture.
Exactly. So before we get into the how and the why of it all, who is Ana Fabiola? For those who don't know, she was La Barbie Regia, over 100,000 followers on X, formerly Twitter. This wasn't just some, random person online.
Right, and I think that's what makes this case especially poignant. It's a jarring reminder that behind every profile, every post, there's a human being with a life that goes so much deeper than the screen.
Yeah.
Family, friends, dreams, all of that gets left behind.
And her Instagram, oh man, it's a mix. She really seemed to embrace every side of herself. You got pictures with her son, her faith. She was clearly Catholic, big on that. And then you've got her rocking her Tigres jerseys, the soccer team, and then bam,
Yeah.
glam shots like she was born on a runway.
Which I think really speaks to how influencer culture has evolved, right?
Yeah.
It's not just one thing anymore. It's about this whole image, presenting these different facets of yourself. It's about appealing to a much larger audience.
For sure. And get this. She was even on Multimedios television for a bit. Now, some people might not know, but that's a big deal in Mexico. It's a whole different level of recognition, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It just goes to show you, influencers, they're not just confined to our phones anymore. They're on TV, they're in ads, they're everywhere. It really makes you think about the reach someone like Ana Fabiola actually had.
It's a lot, especially considering what happened. The article uses a term I had to look up, I'll be honest. Degollado. Basically, it means her throat was cut. There were signs of violence.
It's a chilling detail, and it really contrasts, this bright online presence, all that potential with the brutal reality of how she died.
Absolutely. So let's talk about what we know about that Friday.
Right.
She dropped her son off at daycare.
Right, near Paseo de los Leones in Monterey.
Yeah.
That's where she lived. And, when she didn't come back to pick him up, that's when the alarm bells really started going off. It's, well, every parent's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Right. And then the family was contacted, and they discovered what happened.
God, I can't imagine. Just unthinkable.
It really drives home the point that, behind the filters, the perfectly chosen photos, the witty captions, there are real lives, real families, real pain.
No doubt. So where does the investigation stand right now? What do we actually know?
Well, as of right now, same day this article came out, it's early stages. Authorities are just starting to put it all together, no suspects yet, that kind of thing.
But they must have some angle they're pursuing, right? What are they looking into?
One thing the article mentions is Ana Fabiola's work as an escort. It's a profession that sadly often comes with its own set of risks, So authorities are naturally looking into whether that part of her life could be connected to what happened.
That's understandable, but we have to be careful here, right? We can't just assume anything.
Exactly. We have to remember this is just one piece of a much bigger picture. To say her death was because of this one thing or that, it'd be irresponsible at this point. We don't know enough, and the investigators, they need the space to do their job, look at all possibilities.
Speaking of different angles, what about her online life? I mean, with that many followers, there's got to be some kind of reaction happening right now.
Oh, for sure. This type of news, it spreads like wildfire online, and the reaction to Ana Fabiola's death, it's been huge. Her comment sections, they're flooded, condolences pouring in, people just in shock, sad, can't believe it.
Shows you, even in the digital age, death, it hits differently, It's real, it's human.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is how people are processing it all. Some, they want justice, right? They're calling for a vast investigation, the book thrown at whoever did this. Others are using this to talk about the dangers that come with certain professions, things people don't always want to address, especially in a world where so much is online,
It really makes you think about online safety, anonymity, all of it. Makes you stop and think twice about, like, the risks that might be there behind the profiles, even just regular interactions. We talk about online safety a lot, but Ana Fabiola's story, it makes it real, What specific dangers would you say are people in her position, influencers, sex workers, anyone with a big online presence vulnerable to?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's complicated. I mean, first, there's always the risk of harassment online, stalking. A big following, yeah, it can be great, but it also attracts the worst sometimes. And online, people feel bolder, right? They say and do things they'd never do face to face. For someone like Anna Fabiola, who shared a lot of herself online, it could have been terrifying.
Like having a target on your back almost. And these people, they're everywhere. But what about offline? Are there ways that being an influencer, especially with the work she did, could have made her a target in real life too?
Absolutely. Think about it. Influencers, they often share their location, their routines, sometimes even their homes. It might seem harmless, but it can give someone with bad intentions a roadmap, basically. And for someone in Anna Fabiola's line of work, where privacy is so important, it's a recipe for danger. The stakes are just that much higher.
It's a scary thought. This whole case, it's like this reminder that the digital world, it's not separate from everything else, you know?
Yeah.
It impacts us and we impact it in ways we don't even realize sometimes, and it can have real consequences.
And cases like Anna Fabiola's, it's like those lines get blurry, you know?
Yeah.
The curated online persona and the very real consequences. It's a stark reminder that these things are connected, and sometimes it ends tragically.
It's a lot for sure. It's like on the surface, you have this glamorous influencer life, but underneath, it gets really complicated really fast. And in this case, it ends in tragedy.
It really makes you think about, how we consume this stuff online. We have to be more discerning, more critical. It's easy to get sucked into those perfect feeds, the highlight reels, but there's always more to the story, right? And thinking about safety, that's crucial.
So true. As we wait for more answers in Anna Fabiola's case, what are some key takeaways for our listeners? Things that, go beyond this one story.
Well, I think first and foremost, we can't forget this is still developing. It's tempting to speculate, but the reality is we still don't have all the facts. Let's let the investigation run its course.
Definitely. Let the truth come out.
And I can't emphasize this enough, online safety, it's paramount for everyone. It's not just about like avoiding scams. It's about really being aware of what you're putting out there, who you're interacting with, and what could happen because of those interactions.
It's like we need a crash course in digital street smarts or something, how to stay safe in this world that's constantly changing.
100%. It's not about living in fear, not at all.
Yeah.
But a little caution, a little awareness, it goes a long way.
Absolutely. So we talked about online safety, but this also brings up influencer culture as a whole. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a tough one. It's a double-edged sword, right? On the one hand, it's incredible for creativity, for people expressing themselves, even making a living. Influencers can connect with people globally, build these communities, even make a real difference in the world. But there's that other side, the pressure to be perfect, to always be on, the potential for, frankly, exploitation. And as we've seen, real risks to someone's safety.
Like the Wild West, kind of exciting, tons of potential, but, there's danger lurking around every corner.
That's a great way to put it. And like any new frontier, it's up to us to figure out how to navigate it, both as individuals and as a society. We need to talk about this stuff, the good and the bad, the impact of influencer culture. And we have to learn how to be smart, how to be safe in this new landscape.
So where do we go from here? We don't have all the answers, but I think after this deep dive, we need, I don't know, not a solution exactly, but maybe a call to action, something to think about.
I think that's spot on. Let Anna Fabiola's story be a wake-up call. Let's use this as a chance to look at our own relationship with the online world. How can we be more aware of our own digital footprint? How can we support the people using their platform for good? And how can we each do our part to make the online world, a better place, safer, kinder, more understanding? Those are the big questions we all need to be asking.
Makes you think. As always, thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay safe.